Welcome to the DIY Honda Garage channel. DTC P0460 indicates an issue with the fuel level sensor, specifically the fuel gauge sending unit. It arises when the output voltage from the sensor falls outside of a specified range, prompting the Powertrain Control Module, PCM, to register this abnormality and store the Diagnostic Trouble Code, DTC. The fuel gauge sending unit is integrated within the fuel tank unit, making it a critical component for accurately relaying fuel levels to the gauge on the dashboard. This process is essential to avoid running out of fuel unexpectedly and aids in maintaining the vehicle's operational efficiency. When this DTC is stored, it is necessary to perform thorough diagnostics to ensure that no related issues are present. The following slides will outline the affected components, potential causes, symptoms, and step-by-step troubleshooting techniques to resolve the DTC P0460. The fuel gauge sending unit is responsible for measuring the fuel level in your Honda CR-V's tank, and it sends this information to the gauge control module, which displays the current fuel level on the dashboard. The sending unit's output voltage varies depending on the fuel level it senses. When the tank is full, the sensor should send a high voltage, and when nearly empty, a low voltage. Located within the fuel tank, the sending unit is crucial for accurate fuel level readings. The gauge control module processes this data and communicates with the Powertrain Control Module, PCM, to ensure that the displayed fuel level accurately represents the actual amount of fuel available. If the PCM detects that the sensor's output voltage is out of range, it will log the DTC P0460, signaling that there may be either a problem with the sending unit or its associated circuits. Diagnosing DTC P0460 begins with pinpointing the underlying cause. A faulty fuel gauge sending unit is a primary suspect, as it may not provide accurate voltage readings. Wiring issues are also a possibility. Open circuits, shorted connections, or damaged wires can interrupt communication between the sending unit and the gauge control module. Additionally, if the gauge control module itself is malfunctioning, it could fail to process the signals from the sending unit correctly. Each of these components interacts closely, so an issue with one can potentially lead to misleading readings and trigger the DTC. Prioritizing these potential causes effectively will streamline the troubleshooting process. When DTC P0460 is triggered, drivers may notice erratic readings from their fuel gauge, such as fluctuating levels or a gauge that does not respond at all. This can lead to confusion regarding how much fuel is actually in the tank, potentially causing inconvenience or even running out of fuel unexpectedly. In some cases, the fuel gauge may remain stuck at full or empty, providing no clear indication of fuel levels. Additionally, the DTC warning light on the dashboard will illuminate, alerting the driver to the presence of an issue that needs attention. Understanding these symptoms is crucial for timely diagnostic and repair actions. Begin troubleshooting DTC P0460 by turning the ignition key to the on position without starting the engine. Allow the vehicle systems to initialize for at least 30 seconds. During this time, the Powertrain Control Module, PCM, will run self-tests and can gather necessary data. Verifying the initial status of the fuel gauge sending unit at this point is essential, as it helps confirm if the DTC is being triggered consistently. This entry-level check can sometimes reveal quick fixes, or it may guide you to more detailed inspection steps if the issue persists. In this step, the focus shifts to the fuel gauge sending unit, which is integrated into the fuel tank unit. Begin by inspecting the electrical connections to ensure they're secure and free from corrosion or any physical damage. If the visual inspection appears normal, proceed to perform the fuel gauge sending unit test. This test usually involves checking the resistance of the sending unit at various fuel levels. Any abnormalities in resistance readings will indicate a faulty sending unit. Understanding the workings of the sending unit is critical, as an accurate measurement is necessary for proper gauge functionality. Next, turn your attention to the external circuits involved in the fuel gauge system. Specifically, inspect the fuel gauge plus and fuel gauge minus circuits for integrity. The testing should be performed with the vehicle in off mode to safely inspect for open wire conditions. Conduct wire inspection to ensure that there are no shorts or open connections. If an open circuit is detected, it could substantially impair the functioning of the gauge and trigger the DTC. Generally, the resistance of these circuits should be less than 1 ohm. Failure to achieve this reading indicates an issue that requires rectification. The final step in the diagnostic process involves checking the gauge control module. It's imperative to determine whether previous inspection items return normal conditions preceding this test. If they do, it's an indicator that the gauge control module could be the faulty component. During this step, you may conduct further tests on the module itself, referencing service manual procedures for specific instructions. If testing validates that the module is indeed malfunctioning, it would need to be replaced or repaired. Understanding how the gauge control module processes incoming signals is vital, as it plays a critical role in displaying accurate fuel levels on the instrument cluster. Identifying a failure here is crucial for restoring the fuel gauge's reliability. Once repairs or replacements are executed, it is critical to verify that the issue has been adequately resolved. Start by clearing the DTC from the PCM using diagnostic equipment. Following this, conduct a test drive to ensure that the fuel gauge operates accurately during various fuel levels. Pay close attention to the responsiveness of the gauge, as it should correlate with the actual fuel levels in the tank. Observing the gauge's performance post-repair will demonstrate whether the DTC P0460 has been conclusively resolved. Final verification is paramount to ensure safety and performance, making this step an integral part of the repair process. To prevent DTC P0460 from occurring again in the future, it is wise to engage in regular preventive maintenance of the fuel system. Start with periodic inspections of the fuel gauge sending unit, as well as the gauge control module, to catch any signs of wear or corrosion early. Ensure that wiring and connectors are free from damage, as environmental factors can lead to deterioration over time. Keeping electrical connections clean and properly secured can drastically reduce the likelihood of issues arising from corrosion or loose wiring. Adopting a proactive maintenance schedule not only improves the accuracy of your fuel gauge, but also contributes to the overall reliability of your Honda CR-V. In summary, understanding DTC P0460 and its implications is key for effective vehicle maintenance. This trouble code specifically indicates an abnormal reading from the fuel level sensor, requiring immediate attention to prevent operational issues. By following the outlined troubleshooting steps methodically, you can successfully diagnose and rectify the underlying causes. It's essential to inspect not just the fuel gauge sending unit, but also its wiring and the gauge control module. Implementing preventive maintenance activities can fortify your CR-V against similar issues in the future. Having a well-functioning fuel gauge is essential for optimal driving safety and efficiency. Please like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.